Hi, my name is Anil Arana. Welcome to the HSI School of Discipleship. We continue our sessions on leadership with a look today at visions, missions, and goals. The objective of this talk is to understand the importance of having a vision, a mission, and goals in the Christian leadership context, and to set these in our own life, which is what we will do before the session is over. Now, this is a very important topic, and if you understand it and implement it, it will change a lot of things for you forever. This is a promise, so pay attention. I'm going to try to make this as simple as I can, but go through the notes to clarify any doubts if you have them. Let us begin with a passage from Scripture, and this is taken from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. You'll find this in chapter 9, verses 24 to 27. Paul writes, "Do you not know that in a race the runners all compete, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win it. Athletes exercise self-control in all things, but they do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we an imperishable one. So I do not run aimlessly, nor do I box as though beating the air, but I punish my body and enslave it, so that after proclaiming to others, I myself should not be disqualified." Now, Paul is speaking here about the hard work that athletes put in to prepare for a race to achieve victory, to obtain a crown that does not last. Now, how much more effort do we need to put in to obtain a crown that does last? Paul's comparison of the Christian journey to a race was a deliberate one, aimed at making us realize that we have to be purposeful in what we do if we're to win the prize at the end of it. Now, this is not to say we need to rely on our own abilities and efforts, but we need to make our plans ensuring they fit in with God's, and then trust His help to fulfill them. The Apostle James puts it beautifully when he writes, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such town and spend a year there doing business and making money. Yet you do not even know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wishes, we will live and do this or that." That's James chapter 4, verses 13 to 15. So, how do we make these plans? By having a destination in mind, a means of getting to it, and steps that we need to take to reach it. Now, simply put, we need a vision, a mission, and goals. Take a look at this picture to get a better understanding of what these three things are. Now, it helps enormously if these are purposefully stated in the form of clear statements. As a simple example to obtain understanding, let us consider the athlete that Paul referenced. What do you imagine his vision was? To win the prize. What was his mission? To prepare for the race by exercising self-control in all things. What is goals? Paul doesn't specify these, but by looking at the lifestyle of any serious athlete, we would know that they would include attaining a high level of fitness through a proper diet, exercise, lifestyle patterns, and much more. How they attain these would comprise their goals. Now, what is our vision? Also to attain a prize, but one that lasts forever. How we attain this constitutes our mission, and the steps that we take towards achieving it are our goals. Now, when preparing a vision statement, and this is something all of you need to do immediately after this, so listen. When preparing a vision statement, it helps to know three things: yourself, your environment, and your God. Know yourself. We're going to look at each of these in turn. Know yourself. As Socrates says, not the soiton. Romans 12:6 says, we have gifts that differ according to the grace given to us. Now, the gifts that we receive from God are unique to us, and it is important that we know what these gifts are. If we cannot sing, then having a vision to be a great singer for God will be a dream and nothing more. If, however, we can sing, then this vision is one that can be attained. Similarly, we also have our own set of experiences that have shaped us to be the people we are. And our vision is shaped out of these experiences. And a third point to keep in mind is the nature of our heart and what moves it. If we like to be with children and look after them, then that is where God is likely to put a burden on your heart. If being with diseased people makes you uncomfortable, then it is highly unlikely that God will ask you to spend your life looking after the sick, although you cannot put anything past him. Me, for instance, I hate to travel, and I don't like to talk, and look at what God has done with me. In our last session, we looked at Nehemiah and saw that one of the gifts that God had given Nehemiah was an ability to work with people and gain their trust. Now, you don't get to be cupbearer to the king without that gift, and you can see how Nehemiah put that gift to use. The second thing is we need to know our environment. Acts 17:26 says, "From one ancestor he made all nations to inhabit the whole earth, and he allotted the times of their existence and the boundaries of the places where they would live." Our environment plays a vital role in determining our vision. We all come from a certain country, of a particular race, having a certain culture. Now, some of us may not have moved far from where we were born. Others may have moved very far away. We all have occupations, and the things we do and the people we work with are very different from each other. What might God's reasons be for this? When we factor these things into our vision, we will see how they influence it. Consider Nehemiah again. Nehemiah was among the Jews who were exiled to Babylon. After the Babylonian Empire fell to the Persians, Nehemiah was appointed cupbearer to the Persian king Artaxerxes. Now, his trusted and responsible position made Nehemiah's role of being made the governor of Jerusalem possible. That is what he became. That is why it is important to understand our own environment and our own experiences, because any vision statement that we form has to take these into consideration. And the third thing we need to know is our God. 1 John 4:16 says, "So we have known and believed the love that God has for us." God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God, and God abides in them. Now, if we truly know God and understand his love for us, as evidenced by Jesus coming down to earth to die for us, then we want to respond to him and his love in every way possible. The deeper the relationship we have with him, the more we will be prepared to do to make him happy, as in any relationship. But the closer we are to him, the more we understand the concerns of God's heart, and we want to make them our concerns then. The more intimate we are with him, the better we can listen to his voice and hear the things he asks us to do, and also the burden that he places on our hearts. For a Christian leader, this is the prime requisite, because otherwise, any vision that we have will be diluted by carnality. It's worldly thinking. Now, when Nehemiah heard his brother tell him about the walls of Jerusalem, it was as though God was speaking directly to him, and he was so moved he broke down and wept. Then he spent a few days praying and fasting, seeking the will of God, to whom he was always close to. Now, how do we know this? Because we see that he was reminding God of his promises that Nehemiah could only have known if he knew the word of God. Now, by the time he was done praying, Nehemiah had his vision statement, and I imagine it was this: to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Statements of biblical characters are something that I would like us to consider now. What do you imagine Moses' vision statement might have been? Take a minute to think about it. To free the Israelites from their bondage. Now, a vision statement usually begins with the word "to." It's very brief, and it just states what the vision is. Once again, to look at Moses, to free the Israelites from their bondage. That was his vision statement. What do you imagine Joshua's vision statement might have been? To conquer and settle the promised land. For Paul, this great evangelist, to evangelize the whole world. And what about Jesus? Imagine it was very simple for him to bring salvation to the world. You see, these are short statements, very concise, but they define exactly what the end purpose is. Now, I want you to take a minute or two to think about what your vision statement needs to be and to write it down. We're going to distribute papers to you now, which contain a lot of things for you to fill out, but for now, the only thing you need to do is fill out your vision statement. Think about it for a minute and then write it down. Now, you can rethink and formulate this after a week of prayer. But for now, I just want you to put down whatever comes to your mind and your heart. Take a minute now. Welcome back. Now that we have a vision, we need to have a mission. Now, our mission is doing the things that God calls us to do to fulfill the vision that God has placed on our hearts. How we plan on fulfilling this mission is what comprises a mission statement. Now, these are a few things that we need to consider doing so that we might have a good mission statement. 1, let the Bible be your inspiration. We've already looked at Nehemiah in some depth, but it would help us tremendously to look at other biblical leaders like Gideon, like Moses, Elijah, Elisha, Peter, Paul, Stephen, and Mary, and imagine the kind of mission statements they might have put together had they written down mission statements. Now, I doubt any of them actually did put down mission statements, which might lead us to ask why we need to. The reason is simply because they had extreme clarity of purpose, which many of us lack. And putting down vision, mission, and goal statements help us to get that clarity. It would also be helpful to look at God's mission because that would give us a sense of our own mission in the world. The second thing that would help us to do is to appraise ourselves and to seek insights from others. Take a good look at yourself and appraise your strengths, your weaknesses, your abilities, your gifts, your talents. And once you have done this, ask others, especially your friends and family members, to appraise you as well. Now, accept their appraisal with humility, because some of the things they might have to say might come as not pleasant surprises to you. You know, you might think that you're a great singer, and then you discover from your friends that you're not a good singer at all, and that might be a little hard to swallow, but it might be the truth. So accept that in humility. Also try to discover your spiritual gifts, your leadership and relational styles, and your learning abilities. Now, in the notes you have, there are some guides to help you in your appraisal. So kind of look through them, take the ones that apply, and form your mission statement based on that. The third thing you need to do is to reflect on life and ministry experiences. Ask yourself these questions. What do I really enjoy? What am I really good at? What does God bless when I do it? Now, these are questions that are important because you have your unique set of experiences that make you who you are today. And when you consider them, you'll be in a better position to write down your mission statement. What is really special or unique about me? What are the things I easily succeed with? Examine past achievements pertaining to your personal life, your vocational life, your relational life, your educational life, and your spiritual life. Look at points of pain in these various spheres. The fourth thing I want you to do is to ponder, share, pray, write, and then repeat the entire process. Think deeply about how you're going to achieve your vision and share this with others. Take it to God in prayer. Write everything down, including the feelings you have and the insights you obtain. Not only does writing put a solidity to things, it also helps to clarify things in the mind. Now, when you are done with this, repeat the entire process until you are really happy with what you have put down. It took me a long time to put my mission statement down, but when it was ready, it read, "Bring people to a knowledge of Christ and discipleship through preaching and personal witness, and then, with the empowerment of the Holy Spirit, training them to bring others to a knowledge of Christ and discipleship." Now, this mission, properly carried out, will result in exponential evangelism and will bring about the vision that I have, even if it doesn't do it entirely. My vision statement is this: to see every person in every nation become a disciple of Christ. Now, if you are looking at this from a Christian-centric point of view, then your vision statement is not going to differ too much from mine or from each other. In fact, if you look at your vision statements, as maybe you should do now, you will see how common most of them are if they are Christ-centric. And for most of you, it will be to bring people to Christ, to bring people to salvation, to take people home and the like. Okay? So what is going to differ is basically your mission statements. How you achieve this, how you bring people to a knowledge of God, how you bring people to salvation. If you are a musician, your mission statement might read, to bring people to Christ by music, by providing them training in various musical instruments or whatever, Let us consider the mission statements of biblical leaders. Moses might have been to persuade Pharaoh to liberate the Israelites and lead them out of Egypt into the promised land. Joshua, it may have been to conquer Jericho, lead the Israelites into the promised land and help them to settle there. For Paul, it might have been by writing, preaching, and using every method possible to reach out to the peoples of the world. And as for Jesus, by going down from heaven to earth, and after teaching people about the love of God, to offer myself as a perfect sacrifice for the sin of mankind so that I can take them from earth to heaven. I want you to take another couple of minutes to think about and prepare your own mission statement. As I told you before, you can rethink and reformulate this after a week of prayer. In fact, I insist that you do that. But put one down right away to kind of get a sense of what we're doing. It'll help make understanding even better. So I'll take a couple of minutes now. Welcome back. Having only a vision is not enough. Now there must be a commitment to act on the vision. This is the mission. There must also be a set of specific steps to achieve the vision. Now these steps are called goals. Although we have one vision and one mission, we can have many goals which should be well planned, clearly stated, and balanced across all areas of our life. Now these goals should be SMART, S-M-A-R-T, an acronym first used by management guru George Duran in 1981 to describe goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Now here's how it works. S for specific. Specific goals answer your 6 W questions: who, what, where, when, which, and why. When you can identify each element, you'll know which tools and actions are required to reach a goal. Who? Who is involved? What? What do you want to accomplish? Where? Where will you complete the goal? When? When do you want to do it? Which? Which requirements and constraints might get in your way? And finally, why? Why are you doing it? Specificity is important because when you reach these milestones, date, location, and objective, you'll know for certain you have achieved your goal. That's the S. Now let's look at M. M stands for measurable. Now, measurable goals are defined with precise times, amounts, or other units, essentially anything that measures progress towards a goal. Creating measurable goals makes it easy to determine if you have progressed from point A to point B. Measurable goals also help you to figure out when you're headed in the right direction and when you're not. Now, generally, a measurable goal statement answers questions starting with how, such as how much, how many, and how fast. That's M for measurable. Now we look at A for attainable. Attainable goals stretch the limits of what you think is possible. While they're not impossible to complete, they're often challenging and full of obstacles. Now, the key to creating and attaining goal is to look at your current life and to set an objective that seems slightly beyond your reach. That way, even if you fail, you still accomplish something of significance. Now we come to R for relevant. Relevant goals focus on what you truly desire. They are the exact opposite of inconsistent or scattered goals. They are in harmony with everything that is important in your life, from success in your career to happiness with the people that you love. T is for time-bound. Time-bound goals have specific deadlines. You're expected to achieve your desired outcome before a target date. Time-bound goals are challenging and grounding. You can set your target date for today, or you can set it for a few months, a few weeks, or a few years from now. The key to creating a time-bound goal is to set a deadline you'll meet by working backwards and developing habits. Now, SMART goals are clear and well-defined. There is no doubt about the result you want to achieve. At its deadline, you'll know if you have or haven't achieved a particular goal. Now, the wording of a goal is especially important. Focus on the right thing and you can do amazing things. When you focus on the wrong things, you might lose your motivation to achieve a goal. As an example, consider this goal. In order to lead a healthier lifestyle, that's the why, I will lose 4 kilos and wait a month by walking for 30 minutes each day around the block, doing aerobics or other stretch exercises for another 30 minutes at home, eating only 3 sensible meals a day beginning today until I've lost 16 kilos to reach my optimal weight of 68 kilos. Now, obviously a goal like this would be for a person who's overweight. If you're underweight, this goal would be totally nonsensical. Now, if you're overweight and you're serious about achieving this goal, you will see that even though it is a little long-winded, it contains all the elements that a good goal statement should have. Similarly, no matter what goal you have in life, it should be concise and precise, just like the one stated over here. Now, you've got your vision statement in place and you've got your mission statement in place. We need to look at goal statements. But rather than look at goals that pertain to your vision and mission, I want us to look at general goals that all of us should compulsorily have. Now, there are 4 dimensions to our nature: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. And they pertain respectively to the body, the heart, the mind, and the spirit. And their function is to live, to love, to learn, and to leave a legacy. To live encompasses our physical and economic needs and well-being. To love deals with the relationships with others and how we relate together and deal with each other. Kindness, respect, dignity, support, and so forth. To learn involves helping each other continually with education, learning from our experiences, and identifying, developing, and using our talents. And to leave our legacy is our spiritual need for a sense of meaning, for a sense of mattering in life, that we truly contribute, add value, make a difference, and have a deep connection with the eternal and divine part of our nature. Now, no matter what our vision might be, as Christian leaders, we need to ensure that we are well-rounded and mature individuals by looking after and ensuring the well-being and growth of our heart, mind, body, and spirit. Now, to this effect, I want you to list at least 3 physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental goals, each for overall growth. Financial goals can be placed under physical goals, and family goals can come under emotional goals. Now, follow this syntax. I will. Begin it with I will. Action. I will do this. The number. Starting on and ending on. And finally, the reason. Now, the reason is optional, but I strongly recommend it as it defines your purpose for the goal. Even if you want to do something every day for the rest of your life, put an end period. Ideally 3 months, but no longer than 6 months, so that you can look at your progress and see how you're faring. A shorter period is also more encouraging. Now, here are 4 examples, each pertaining to a dimension. Look at the syntax, and whatever you're writing, kind of make it mirror something like this. Physical, I will lose 4 kilos of weight in 2 months, starting the 1st of January, so that I will be fitter and have more energy to do my work. For an example of an emotional goal, I will take my family out to dinner every Saturday from January 1st to June 30th, so that I will have a better relationship with them. For a spiritual goal, I will attend Mass at least 3 times a week, starting today, we're assuming that today is January 1st, until June 30th, to deepen my relationship with God and to strengthen my faith. For a mental goal, I will read at least 1 new book every week for 6 months, starting the 1st of January, so that I can widen my horizons and improve my knowledge. We're going to leave these examples up on the board. What I would like you to do is to take about 10 minutes to just write down physical goals, mental goals, spiritual goals, and emotional goals for your life. As with the vision statement and mission statement I asked you to put down, revise this during the week to make it something you really want to do. But now, just as an exercise, write your goals down. Go ahead.